She arrived at the forward operating base under a sky that looked bruised purple from dust and heat, and the moment she stepped onto the gravel, every soldier who stood on that base paused. Not because she was famous, not because she was a decorated combat veteran, but because she wasn't what they expected. She was quiet, thin, barely 5'5", with freckles across her nose, hair tied tight under her cap, and a rifle case slung over her shoulder that looked old, handmade, mismatched, almost embarrassing. A couple of Marines pushed past, laughing, not even trying to hide it. "Is that a violin?" one asked. Another smirked. "Nah, bro. That's one of those mail-order rifles. Amazon Sniper Edition." The laughter echoed louder than the helicopters. She didn't respond. She simply walked across the base, boots steady, eyes straight, breathing slow. Not angry, not offended, just focused. Her name was Sergeant Avery Hale, U.S. Army sniper. And nobody here knew her story. Not yet. The base commander, Major Grant, didn't greet her with warmth either. He skimmed her folder, raised an eyebrow, and said, "You were requested, not assigned. I don't know who pulled strings for you, but don't expect special treatment." She nodded once. "I don't." "Good," he grunted, "because this unit already has snipers. Competitive ones. Don't get in their way." She didn't say she wasn't here to compete. She wasn't here to impress. She wasn't even here for recognition. She was here because the battalion had a problem. Enemy snipers, multiple, who were killing patrols, engineers, medics, and even drone operators. The enemy shooters weren't random amateurs hiding in ruined windows. They were trained, disciplined, patient, possibly former foreign special operations. They moved constantly, never firing from the same ridge twice. They hit targets over a mile away. They created fear. They controlled the terrain. Every soldier on the base felt hunted. That night, while others played cards, lifted weights, or watched movies, she sat alone in the sand beside the runway, methodically assembling her rifle piece by piece. It wasn't standard issue. It wasn't factory-built. It was custom, hand-tuned over 7 years, built from components she'd traded for, ordered, or modified herself. Every screw was torqued to memory. Every surface was polished smooth. It was a weapon that wasn't supposed to win competitions, wasn't supposed to impress instructors, but had. It was called Orion. Soldiers walking by slowed down, watching her work with silent precision. A few whispered again, "Bro, look at that thing. Looks like it came from eBay." One laughed. Another said, "She's gonna get someone killed with that antique." Avery ignored them. Her eyes stayed on the rifle. She checked the firing pin twice. She adjusted the zero as she wrote down wind patterns. Then she waited. Day 1 started with a scream, then gunfire, then radio chaos. A patrol had been hit. Same as the last 5 incidents. A single round, perfectly placed. A bullet to the helmet of the point scout, dead before he hit the dirt. The enemy sniper had fired from somewhere in the canyon system east of the base, where ridges overlapped like waves of stone and heat distortion made every target melt and blur. Avery didn't ask permission. She grabbed Orion, strapped on a low-profile harness, and moved .2 spotters followed it first. One reluctantly, one curious. The reluctant one, Corporal Duran, muttered the entire walk. "We already tried this. We've been trying for weeks. They're ghosts. You're not going to find them." The other, Private Miller, had a grin that made it clear he liked chaos. "Let her try. This might be fun." She reached the first ridge and stopped. Not to shoot, but to listen. Nothing. No vehicles. No chatter. Just wind, heat, dust, and silence. Then she laid flat, adjusted the bipod on her rifle, and studied the landscape through the scope, slowly, methodically, like she was searching not for movement, but for intent. Minutes stretched into an hour. Duran got impatient. "This is useless. If they were here, they're gone." Avery didn't blink. And then, finally, tiny movement on a rock face nearly a mile away. Not a person, not even a weapon, just a glint like sun bouncing off glass. She exhaled steady, slow, and whispered, "Spotter, Mark." Miller saw it too and froze. Oh my God, that's a loophole shot location." Duran squinted. "That's impossible. No one can hit that." Avery didn't respond. She adjusted one final dial. Wind speed. Calculated barometric pressure. Noted distance 1,624 meters. She curled her finger around the trigger, and oh hesitation, and oh adrenaline dump. Just calm. The rifle thundered once, silence. Then, far away, a body rolled out of a small carved camouflage rock nest. First sniper, dead. Miller swore under his breath. Duran stared like he'd seen a ghost. Avery simply whispered, "One." When they returned, the mocking was gone, but replaced with disbelief. Someone said, "Lucky shot." Another murmured, "Beginner's luck." Someone else laughed nervously. Bet she couldn't do it twice. She ignored all of it because she knew something none of them knew. There were more. Enemy snipers didn't operate alone, not in terrain like this, not with kill consistency like that. So she spent that night cleaning her rifle again and studying a hand-drawn map of the region terrain. While others slept, she memorized elevation lines, wind tunnels, natural sight lines, firing funnels, and escape shadow routes. She circled 3 new potential hide spots. If she were them, she would be there next at sunrise. Another shot echoed across the desert. Another patrol hit. Another soldier down. The radio exploded with panic. Avery moved before they even confirmed the direction. This time she went alone, 0.3 miles out. She belly crawled across sharp rock until she reached a ledge overlooking the valley. Dust blew in thin sheets across her scope. She watched. She waited. Minutes dragged. Sweat rolled down her spine. The sun painted everything gold and blinding. And then, there, a slight unnatural shadow where the rocks should have matched. Someone shifted their elbow. She breathed. She fired. Second sniper. Dead. The base didn't laugh now. Word spread faster than gunfire. That girl? She's taking them out. 2 kills. 2 days. Who the hell is she? Not once did she answer that question. But late that night, one soldier got curious enough to look her up. What he found spread like wildfire. Avery Hale, former junior competitive shooter and long-range precision competitor. Never issued a sniper school slot at first because she didn't fit the expected physical profile. So she trained anyway. Harder. Longer. She entered civilian precision shooting events against men twice her age, twice her strength, 3 times her experience, and she won. Not once. 17 times. When the Army finally tested her, she didn't break records, she shattered them. Still, the base didn't fully trust her. Not yet. Day 3 changed everything that IT started before dawn, when most soldiers were still asleep and the desert air felt almost cold. The alarm sounded again, another sniper attack attempt, this time not at a patrol but at the base itself. Avery didn't walk this time. She ran straight toward the outer blast wall, straight toward danger, straight toward the ridge. She climbed with her rifle slung across her chest, fingers digging in a rock, boots slipping once, dust rolling under her palms. She reached the top, chest rising slow. Not panicked, only focused. The enemy sniper was smart. They were moving, trying to reposition, trying to find a better shot angle. Avery adjusted, tracked the faint outline through her scope, and waited. Not for the perfect shot, but the perfect movement. The moment the target committed to a firing posture. There'd a shift, a tightening to a breath. She fired. The body crumpled. Third sniper. Dead. But unlike the others, this one wasn't alone. 2 more rifles flared from different ridges, ambush positions. Bullets cracked around her. Stone exploded near her cheek. She didn't retreat. She didn't flinch. She rolled behind a boulder, dialed her scope, and counter-sniped both positions. 2 rounds, 2 impacts, 2 distant collapses. Fourth. Fifth. By the time she returned to base, soldiers didn't whisper anymore. They watched her with awe, respect, curiosity. Point 1 even saluted, unprompted. That night, Major Grant found her alone and finally asked, "How many do you think there are?" She replied without looking up, "At least 6 more." Grant's face paled. 3 more days passed, and in those days, she hunted the last enemy snipers one by one. Sometimes it took minutes to locate them, sometimes hours. Once, Nearly a full day lying still in scorching heat while flies crawled across her face and wind shifted sand against her skin. Twice she fired shots so far that even the spotters couldn't immediately confirm the impact. But one thing stayed consistent. Every time she returned, there was one less threat in the mountains. 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and finally, the 11th, who was the hardest of all. The last sniper was careful, not reckless like the others, not aggressive. They didn't fire immediately. They watched. They waited. They studied Avery the way she studied them. That it was a duel, silent and invisible point two shadows hunting each other across distance. She changed positions constantly so did they. Hours passed. Wind shifted. Light changed. She didn't move. Finally, just as the evening sun hit the rocks at the perfect angle, she saw it. The faintest outline of a rifle barrel. Not exposed, but detectable. She exhaled and fired. For a moment, there was no movement. Then the rifle slid down the rock, followed by a limp arm .11. Confirmed. When she returned to base, soldiers lined up, not ordered, not rehearsed, but instinctively, forming a path for her to walk through. Not with arrogance, not with celebration, but with respect. Major Grant stepped forward and spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. We mocked your rifle. We doubted your skill. We underestimated you. That will not happen again. She only nodded, slinged her rifle over her shoulder, and walked to the barracks without saying a word. Later, when Miller finally asked the question everyone wanted answered, why do you fight like that? Why keep going when everyone doubts you? She paused, then said quietly, because someone has to protect the ones who can't see the danger yet. And she wasn't wrong. Her name started spreading across units. Not through official reports, not through bragging, but through stories whispered between exhausted soldiers sitting under a burning sky. Stories like this one, stories told here. Stories told on her brave stories, where the world remembers the ones who don't ask for glory, but earn it.